exceptional lineup of speakers joining us today, each bringing a wealth of knowledge and rich experiences from their respective fields. So we have Hannah Barry the HR coordinator for AHI Career. We have Ms. Nagpal, the head of HR for Sun Global. We have Naira Adele, the regional HR manager for GSL Technology. Ben Bass, who serves as the managing director for Grok Global, and we have Uchechukwu Eziamako, who is the business director at Workforce Africa, who will also be our host for today and be taking this conversation forward. Now, in reading our bio, Uchechukwu Stella Eziamako is an accomplished professional with over 12 years of experience in business development, business operations, and human resource consulting. She has a proven track record of consulting for organizations across diverse sectors with a strong focus on creating value and driving business growth through people and processes. As the business director at Workforce Africa, Stella spearheads market entry and expansion strategies for international businesses looking to establish and grow their presence in Africa, even without registered local entities. She is instrumental in acquiring and managing clients' relationships, ensuring regulatory compliance, and overseeing processes and systems for compliant onboarding and management of employees across 40 plus African countries. She leverages an extensive network of partners to facilitate business growth and smooth market entry. Stella has successfully guided multinational startups and international NGOs into market entry across Africa. She is recognized for her ability to enhance workplace culture for remote teams, drive performance, and build high-performing teams, making her a valuable asset in any business expansion effort. Join me welcome Uchechukwu Eziamako.
Thank you, Divine. Thank you for the welcome introduction. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be your host for today's event. I'm very much excited about the topic. As earlier introduced by Divine, my name is Uche and I sit as the Business Director of Workforce Africa. So today we're going to be discussing the topic from strategy to execution. And we have an exciting lineup of panelists who are going to be sharing insights on how they've moved from strategy to execution, how they are building African presence even without local entities. I would say that this session is particularly important at a time when the global economic landscape is rapidly evolving. And Africa, as we all know, is already the next growth frontier. It's rising as the next growth frontier with young, dynamic workforce, rapidly digitizing economies, and increasing demand for goods and services across sectors. So for businesses who are interested to scale their operations across Africa, I would say that the continent offers not only immense potential, but also complex regulatory and HR environments that can either enable or hinder successes for this organization. Yet, many organizations struggle with the practicalities of expanding into Africa. I know people have questions. Is there really a there? Is the opportunity there as it looks? How do we hire talent in Nairobi, in Kigali, in Abidjan without operating a local entity? How do we navigate complex statutory labor laws and still move at the speed of your business? People are asking questions. How do we manage teams across multiple jurisdictions with diverse laws? And this is where a unique model comes into play. And I know that the panelists will share more insights on this, which is the employer of record that enables businesses to legally employ, onboard, and manage teams. So in the next hour, you'll be hearing from experienced HR and business leaders who are frontiers of African expansion. I know I'm confident that you're going to be learning practical lessons from them, case studies, and possibly game-changing strategies around how they've leveraged this unique model to build lean, compliant, and high-performing teams across the region. So we're glad that you're here. We're going to be getting started soon. So I'll be introducing our expert panelists who I know are bringing great wealth of experience in how they've navigated the unfamiliar terrain of the African labor and statutory provision. So to introduce, I'll start with Hannah Barry. Hannah is the HR coordinator for AHI Career. She's a professional with a dynamic background in education, talent advisory, and international workforce mobility. She currently serves as HR coordinator of AHI Career, and her recent work focuses on supporting recruitment and onboarding systems aligned with global workforce strategies. Hannah has diverse background, and this gives her a unique perspective on navigating talent pipelines, understanding workforce readiness, and supporting remote hiring initiatives. And I know that our insights into both people development and international compliance makes her a valuable voice in conversations around agile expansion, particularly in emerging and multilingual markets. Thank you very much, Hannah, for joining us on set. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you, Echuchu, for this very exciting and amazing introduction. Actually, I was impressed what has mentioned about me, and thank you very much for inviting me for this webinar. It's my honor to be a panelist and to join.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone.
All right, thank you. So the next we have here is Amit Nagpal. Amit is currently a HR leader at Sun Global. Amit is a seasoned HR human resources leader with over 2 decades of experience designing and executing large-scale people strategies across Asia, Middle East, and Africa. He's currently with Sun Global, bringing a strategic lens to HR leadership across diverse and complex markets. Prior to Sun Global, Amit served as head of human resources for DRC and West Africa at Shalina Healthcare, where he led regional HR transformations focused on talent acquisition, organizational development, and workforce engagement. His career includes senior leadership roles at Samsung Electronics and Milan Laboratories, where he drove initiatives in shared service integration, HR automation, and global operations alignment across manufacturing, research and development, and commercial verticals. Amit holds bachelor's degree in business and commerce from Delhi University and has completed an executive certification in leadership with AI from the Indian School of Business. With a deep understanding of workforce transitions, digital HR, and cross-border execution, he brings valuable insights into translating strategic HR vision into tangible business-aligned outcomes. Thank you so much, Amit. I know how busy you are. Thank you so much for creating time to be on set with us. You're welcome.
Thank you, Uche. Thank you for inviting me and looking forward to the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right. And next we have Woods, the regional HR manager with more than 14 years of practical experience in talent acquisition, workforce planning, and cross-border HR operations throughout the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe. As regional HR manager at GSR Technology, she drives people strategies from Shenzhen, China for teams worldwide. Earlier at Baigo Technology, Naira managed recruitment and HR activities across 7 countries: Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, the UAE, Morocco, Romania, and Poland, covering every stage of employee life cycle from onboarding and compliance to performance and employee relations for diverse functions and seniority levels. She holds a master's in law and HR diploma. She blends legal knowledge with HR expertise to guide compliant growth, organizational development, and agile scaling. Her background positions her well to advise companies on efficient international expansion while maintaining strong talent and structure. Thank you so much, Naira. We're pleased to have you on board.
Thank you so much, dear, for this introduction. It's my honor to have you to be with you in this webinar. Thank you.
All right, that's fine. And finally, we have Ben Bath, who will be bringing a unique perspective to the conversation. The previous panelists are HR professionals, and Ben will be sharing insights from a business leader's perspective. So Ben Bath is the managing director at Global Services, where he leads the company's business development and commercial function while also supporting corporate affairs and global operations. With over a decade of experience at Grok, he has played a central role in the organization's growth and evolution, contributing across multiple areas, including sales and marketing, client success, corporate strategy, and international expansion. Prior to Grok, Ben served as trade commissioner at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing, where he facilitated trade and investment ties between Canadian and Chinese enterprises. His background in international business and government relations informs his current work supporting universities and navigating complex international markets. Ben currently lives in Toronto, Canada. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining this session. We are pleased to have you on set.
Thank you, Uche. It's an honor to be here.
All right, so thank you everyone. And of course to our audience, I can see from the comments, we have people from different parts of Africa and different parts of the world. We're pleased to also have you on set. And I'm sure that you're going to be gaining valuable insights from the practical strategies that our panelists will be sharing. So we'll be getting started right now. But before we get started, I would like to hear from our audience. And we're going to be deploying our first poll. We would like to get your thoughts, as a way to drive this conversation. So our first poll is on, so this is directed to our audience. Please, feel free to select multiple answers. What is your organization's biggest roadblock to expanding your operations into new African markets? So this is for those who are already in some African countries and are considering more African countries, and as well as those who are yet to even expand their operations across Africa. So for you, it's that roadblock navigating complex labor laws and regulation. Is it lack of in-country support and compliance partners? Is it slow or costly legal entity setup, or difficulty sourcing and onboarding talent? And of course, there's still a section here for all that. So in case that roadblock is not highlighted here, please feel free to use the chat box to share your roadblocks, to share what the concerns are for you. Okay. All right, interesting. So 65, this is an interesting one. 65% of the audience says that the biggest roadblock is navigating complex labor laws and regulations. I know, right? Africa has 54 countries with 54 different labor and statutory laws. 50% says it's lack of in-country support and compliance partner. 31% says it's slow or costly legal entity setup. Interesting. Then 25% difficulty sourcing and onboarding talent. Interesting. So to move this forward, I'm going to be directing the first question to Ben. Right. So I'd like us to get started with the big picture. From your experience, Ben, why do you think Africa is becoming an increasingly attractive destination for global and local expansion, especially post-pandemic? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you so much, Uche. I think a big part of it is the prospect of future potential for a lot of companies, including our own. Our historical focus has traditionally been Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia. We've been operating in those geographies for upwards of 15 to 20 years. Our expansion into Africa is much more recent, and it's because, in fact, we really see that all that promise that many people have talked about for a long time in terms of economic activity and economic growth. It's been talked about for a long time, but it's actually coming true. I think people are seeing it in reality. I mean, our company certainly is seeing it in real time. And it's a tremendous opportunity. And that ability to diversify into new geographies is very exciting. And sub-Saharan Africa in particular for us, but Africa in total as a continent, is really now coming into the forefront. So it's been very exciting for us, certainly.
Amazing response. Thank you very much, Ben. Yes, Africa, it's like, they would say the next frontier for global businesses. Naira, I would like to also get your thoughts on these same questions. What do you think it's the reason why Africa has become more attractive for global businesses, local businesses? What are the opportunities in Africa that makes it exciting for businesses to expand operations into the region?
Okay, actually, before I start working on African countries, I thought that like who is going to invest in Africa? But after I started working along with the African people, I found that the African market is very rich of the very talented people and very hardworking people. So actually, I totally encourage any company to expand and look forward to establish businesses in Africa, especially in some resources or some something like the natural resources like the solar energy and stuff like this. It's very rich in Africa. Africa is full of talent pool, and it has like different cultures, so each company can choose the suitable country that it can invest in.
Call you back. Can call you back.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Naira. So from Naira and Ben's response, I see a vibrant economy from what Ben said. Naira highlighted the agile, skilled talent workforce that global businesses can leverage, and this is good to know. So I'd like to hear from Hannah, right? For an organization that is considering expanding into Africa without legal entity, can you walk us through the strategic key considerations that they can consider?
Hi. Yeah. Actually, Africa, as you have mentioned, it's not a small country. It's a continent of 54 countries, different culture, different rules, different regulations. And the laws are changing rapidly and continuously up to date. So in order to open a business in Africa, before going to open a legal entity for you, it's better to understand the market. Choose which country is best for you, because you are having a certain industry where you want to provide your services and your whatever you are selling. So you have to choose which country has a demand of what you are selling, and to choose also the language where you can communicate with people. For example, certain parts of Africa, they speak French, others speak English, others speak local language. So also the language, it could be a barrier to a certain extent. Also, you have to choose people who are really there, who don't know the law, because if you want to open your entity, it will be taking time, months, because about the bureaucratic hurdle, or because of the changing laws, and you have to know each employee, what are his benefits, what are his rights, and if you are putting him in this proper category, not misclassifying them, so you will be in trouble and you're paying fines. So to avoid all of these, so it's better to go through an EOR, which will help you in doing all of this with saving time and money, and will not be like yourself experimenting. So they know what they are doing, and they are aware of the legal issues and every single detail, which will avoid any fines and any time gaps and everything.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Hannah, for that
Thank you.
very detailed insight. You had mentioned about finding where the demand is, the language differences, because language is a big barrier. Understanding the changing
Exactly.
labor laws as well as the labor benefits for the employees. Thank you so much for that detailed insight. So I have a
You're
question
welcome.
for Amit, right? But before I get to Amit, Ben, can you please just enlighten the audience, right? Let's assume an organization is considering expanding or testing new waters, what are the various options that they can consider? What are the various, I believe Global is operating in different jurisdictions, even be outside Africa. What are the various options available to a business that is considering expansion into new territories?
Sure. Yeah, no, we operate right now in 18 different countries, and only 3 in Africa. So, yeah, most of our work is outside of Africa. The ways that we've expanded in the past, we have set up our own entities. So, for example, we have subsidiary entities in China, India, Vietnam, and Malaysia. And then in many other places, we use an EOR to expand into those geographies. I mean, the decision around setting up your own entity versus using an EOR, I mean, it's a very big decision. Setting up our own entity in those geographies took substantial amounts of time and money, and resources within the company to ensure that our setup in, places like China and Vietnam was compliant with local law. Navigating local laws, especially in languages that are not English, it takes a lot of time. And so for us, it's really, it's not like there's a ton of options. If you want to do things legally, if you want to do things properly, and I would advocate for that if you're planning to be in that geography or that country for a long time, it's in everyone's best interest to set up properly. And for us, when we're not sure about like how big of a market a certain country will be, for us, it just makes a lot of sense to use an EOR because we want to do things properly and legally and compliantly. But yeah, we've done this in 18 countries, so we have a lot of experience with it.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you very much for that insightful response. So from you, it's either they go greenfield, setting up local entities, or leverage an employer of record. And you mentioned something very striking, especially when you're not sure of the size of the opportunities. Because I've seen in my conversations with clients, I've seen times where they run feasibility studies. Theoretically, the business looked viable, but upon setting up the entity, there were changes in the local laws that made the business unattractive. So you could imagine the waste of investment into a region that doesn't seem viable. All right, thank you.
And Uche, one thing just to add is one thing that people don't, this is like the one of the biggest things I find people don't recognize when they set up their own entity. The cost and time to close it can actually be much more than the cost and time to open it. So also a consideration when people think about their own entity versus, a service like an EOR.
Thank you very much for pointing that out, right? Because if you have to close, you also have to close compliantly. All right, so let's get the thoughts of Amit, right? Now that we're hearing about employer of record, I know people are asking, people have questions, what does this really mean? Like, what is this? So Amit, right, what do you think from your experience, what role does employer of record play in enabling businesses pilot new markets before committing to long-term infrastructure or legal presence?
Okay, so just for everyone's understanding, so when I started my career, I started with initial part of my career with business process outsourcing organizations based in India. So that concept came somewhere around 2002, 2003, when companies established their offshore centers. I mean, so some companies establish their offshore center, which we call as captive, which is their own center outside their home country, okay, in the host country. So that is what we called as captives. And then the other was third party. Third party means you have another company, like a different company altogether, to which you outsource your processes, and that particular company hires talent, manage their trainings, onboarding, exit, everything, and manage that process out of the country on behalf of that main primary owner. So EOR is nothing different, but maybe a little bit similar or a new name to that arrangement. So I would say EOR is not new. Wherever the markets are expanding, wherever the markets are, and when you are not sure of what's going to happen next. So EOR is the best suited model to go for, where you have a local partner who will hire and train people and deploy them as per your own requirements. Maybe also follow contractual terms as per principal agreement requirements. So for example, if you are into banking services, for example, HSBC wants to open a bank in Nigeria. I'm just giving an example. They already have a bank, so they don't want to directly involve. So maybe they will hire an agency or a company who will then manage these resources on their behalf. And there's a billing, there's a P&L, everything goes around that. So I mean, that's what the model essentially means, and I hope we all are on the same page with this, because this is the closest example I could think of. Now I have a call, I have to rush. I'm so sorry. Just okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sir, I'm coming.
All right, that's fine. Thank you very much, Amit, for giving that, giving an example that drives it, down and makes it very relatable for people. Yeah, so business process outsourcing, employee of record, they share a lot of similarities. Why? You're engaging a third party who understands the labor law requirements in the countries to hire employees on your behalf, manage payroll, manage contracts, manage onboarding, manage offboarding, manage everything in between. And this is because that's fine, Amit. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is because different countries have different legal requirements on how you can compliantly and seamlessly onboard employees. So thank you, Amit, for sharing that on what employer of record is. Okay, so before we get started to the next batch of questions, we would like to drive a live poll. But before that, I would like to get the thoughts of Ben, right? I know you mentioned that slightly. What made your organization consider using employee of record? You had mentioned earlier in your response that you set up your own entity in China. It was expensive. It took time. At what point did you pivot to exploring EOR so that people who are in between have better clarity to weigh their options before making business decisions?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, we had never used an EOR or PEO company until recently, just in the last number of years. For us, it was never really a consideration because we always wanted to be in control. And we know that navigating local regulatory environments and legal environments can be very complex. And for us, compliance is very important. So we've always done it ourselves. What we realized in a few years ago was it just wasn't really practical, especially as we expanded into areas of the Middle East, into Africa, and into Latin America. We realized it just wasn't practical. We didn't have the internal knowledge, and it would be so expensive to use lawyers and accountants in every single country to set up our own entity. And what we did was then pivot to exploring EORs. And for us, it was a very eye-opening experience. I won't go into all the details, but I'll just say that EOR companies, PEO companies, they vary widely in quality. And we spent a lot of time evaluating and interviewing different companies and evaluating their services. I mean, we're so glad to be a partner of Workforce, but there's lots of other EOR companies, and they did not impress us very much. And so when we decided that we could trust an EOR company, that they knew what they were talking about, they could answer all of my questions, then we decided, okay, this is an avenue that we can pursue to do these expansions, because otherwise to set up all of our own entities, I mean, it was not practical. So that's what made us explore it. And then we gained the trust in using these kinds of companies.
All right, thank you very much, Ben, right? So just to provide more clarity to the audience, right? I know some people are still maybe wondering, what does EOR mean? So EOR means employer of record. And it's a situation where you involve a third-party organization that legally employs workers on behalf of your organization. So this third-party organization is responsible for everything from contract management of your employees to payroll, to taxes, to compliance, and to benefits, while your own company manages employees' day-to-day work. So I'll give an example. Company XYZ is exploring Africa as a viable market where their solutions can thrive. And then they are thinking to begin to sell our produce in Africa or our service in Africa, we need people that would be boots on ground, that would engage stakeholders, engage potential clients to drive conversations around the values that your service, your product offers. And then you're wondering, how do we even get this? How do we get this person? How do we know a skilled person that can drive this conversation? How do we know what the labor law requires? What are the different types of contract that we can engage this employee under? What are the implications? How do I terminate if things doesn't go well? These are a million and one questions that pop up. So an employer of record allows you hire those people, recruit and hire those, onboard those people. And they can also help you hire people who are experienced in the industry where you're playing, in that country of interest to you. So because, and those people already understand the nuances surrounding your service offerings, the market, the demand. That person now starts engaging stakeholders in the local market to drive conversation. The employer of record manages everything that has to do with that employee who is working directly for your organization. So what this means is that it literally takes away the stress of setting up entity. You have operationalized in those countries and even started making sales even without having a legal entity. So I just thought to, provide this context for people in the audience who are hearing about the term EOR for the first time. But thank you very much, Ben, for sharing that practical example. Okay, so I would like to hear from Naira, right? Can you share a practical example when employer of record enabled your organization or an organization that you have supported to launch a new country presence or hire faster than the traditional methods of setting up local entity?
As you know, I'm working in an EOR company as well, Chinese company. So actually, we are facing the same issues in the market. So we have clients that have urgency in hiring a specific employee in Africa or any other country all over the world. One of the biggest challenges that we were facing that we don't have a legal entity in Africa. So the best solution for us was the EOR to search for an expert local EOR company that provides a professional legal and regulatory advices and be aligned with the local labor law and also be aware of the different labor laws and the taxes structures in different African countries. So we decided to go for the EOR service. And for example, I think you already know about it, that Nigeria was one of our very urgent companies, and our client would like to hire the employee within less than 2 weeks. And actually, when we decided to go for this option, we were able to achieve our client satisfaction through the very fast process, the accurate information about the local laws, and also with the consultation about the market stability, the cultural alignment. Everything was going perfect with Nigeria. So it was a great experience for us, and we started to take the same way in other countries, actually.
Well, thank you very much, Nayiba. Yes, so I mean, you mentioned something striking, that the organization wanted to hire an employee within 2 weeks. I mean, what other strategy can bring that vision to life other than the employer of record business model? Thank you very much. So we're going to be deploying the second poll. And this is to get the thoughts of the audience on how they have used or explored the employer of record services in Africa. So has the organization explored using or even used the EOR services for Africa before? The first option, yes, we currently use EOR. Second, we're considering it. Third option, we are not aware of EOR. It's a new concept to us. And then the fourth one is we manage all hiring in-house. This means that you expand greenfield in any new country. So let's would appreciate your thoughts, your insights, and your own experience on what on the status of the organization with regards to the employer of record business model. Okay, so in the next 15 seconds, we are going to be compiling and showcasing the responses from the poll. Okay, so let's see the response. All right. Interesting. I mean, so this means that this was a very thoughtful topic to discuss. 62% of the audience says we are not aware of the employer of record. So I mean, this means that this session will be very valuable. Why? Because it will open up your perspectives to opportunities you can explore for your business expansion and operation in new jurisdictions. 27% says we're managing all hiring in-house. So this means that if you have to expand into any country, you have to set up. Okay, then 8%, yes, we currently use EOR, and 4% we are considering it. Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. This is quite helpful. Okay, so I'm going to be directing the next question to Hannah. Hannah, can you just let us know, okay, so drawing on your experience, right, setting up HR operations in frontier markets, can you describe the top 2 or 3 strategic actions that EOR partnership allowed you to execute faster and more cleanly than a traditional set up the entity first approach?
Actually, the strategies that we used, working with an EOR, it helped us like hire on board talents within weeks, as Naira has mentioned just a few minutes ago, that hiring people, it would be much faster, easier, hiring talents from inside the market, because Africa is full of talented people and educated, and they have most of them specialized skills and education, and you can find from any background that you are looking for, and the diversity is there. Secondly, because you are there and you know the local changes of the taxes, which is the most important uh, point for us. Like, for example, whenever the laws changes and the tax gets up or down, so you know more what are each employee's rights, and how to pay for them, and it helps also in like paying you for them, the payroll and salaries, whether in the local currency, without it, having any obstacles while transferring money through outside the country to inside. So you can do all of that, and then transactions can happen later between you and our company. So also, if we want to expand, so we can hire more people faster, and we don't need that space that fits them for everyone and apply for each one's quota and onboarding. So you are doing that easier and faster. And also, if we want to close or to make it less, also we don't have to lose our money by setting up or closing the company. We're just having to hire or terminate or change. So it's a very fast and easy to enter and to get out. So no losses of time, no losses of money, no losses of uh, building infrastructure or an entity for yourself in certain specifications of the culture and the weather and the climate. So all of these are making everyone's business easier.
Yeah, I like that last line, right? There is this thing we always say in workforce. I would say focus on your core and outsource the rest. And in Hannah's line, that's how to make everybody's life easy, right? Just focus on your core area of expertise and outsource the non-core so that you don't lose time, resources, and even people. Thank you very much, Hannah, for breaking that down. So I'd like to get Nayura's thoughts on this, right? People may have the questions, right? How do we even know a partner to consider? So when speaking with multiple partners, multiple ER partners, how do we know who to go for? What are the things, what are the not negotiables, the key criteria that we should look out for in an EOR when evaluating them so as to decide which of them we can partner with for African expansion? So can you help answer this?
Yes. The first thing that we ask about is the company profile to check what are the clients or the proven records with the international clients that they are working with. This indicates that this company has a good reputation, and the international companies goes to this company specifically to work with. That indicates that they are very professional. The second thing is that they have a strong onboarding and HR system that supports the employees and have like a strong digital infrastructure that helps to fasten the process and make it easier for the employees. The third point is the very clear and the transparent pricing and service levels. This is extremely important, especially for a company like us, that we are also an EOR service that provide the same service like you to our clients. So it is very important for us to have clear pricing and service level, because we have a client following on our work and wants it's the job to be done as soon as possible. The last thing is that the local experience and the experts that the people that are working on it, the awareness of the last updated labor laws and taxes and any laws that related to the employee that may affect the employee or his requests or employment or anything. I think these are the most important thing. The last thing is the banking system that they have. Because actually money is very important to pay the employee through them. So we have to make sure that they can be committed and paid our employees on time, because it is very important for us and for our employees.
All right, thank you very much, Naira, for pointing those out. So if I can highlight some of your points, their company profile, experience, because you don't want an organization that wants to land a job with your organization, putting everyone at risk. And the cost of non-compliance is actually costly. Nobody also wants their organization to be in the news for the wrong things, right? You also mentioned strong onboarding infrastructure, good HR system, transparent service level agreement. So you're not seeing any hidden cost that, surfaces from nowhere. You mentioned local experience and expertise, and this is even a non-negotiable, because if they are not local, if they don't have the local experience of the local labor law, then that is, it's like a blind man leading a blind man, another blind man, right? And then, of course, the banking system to ensure that employees that are managed through them receive their payments as at when due. Thank you very much, Naira, for that. And Ben, I would like to get your thoughts, right? I know that it was something very sensitive for your organization. And while even considering an employer of record, organizations are concerned about how they can align their company's compliance, culture, performance expectations with that of the employer of record, who is the legal employer of their employees. So what would you advise people who are still considering this option? What are the key things they should look out for in a strategic employer of record partner to ensure that there is alignment with their own organizations, companies, compliance, culture, and performance expectations?
Yeah, I think the alignment is really important, and that's why the transparency is really key. Nayera's answer about what to look for in an EOR partner was actually like perfect. Those are exactly the things that we look for. As it relates to like compliance and alignment on that, I mean, everyone understands they have their own approach to compliance, their own culture of their company, and what they want to ensure expands into new regions when you hire new staff. I mean, for us, it is really important to understand the EOR company, what they're about, what their culture is, how much do they care about their employees, how focused are they on compliance, how important is it to them. We would interview different EOR companies and really ask them a lot of questions about compliance. I also find that sometimes there's an EOR company using an EOR company using an EOR company, and it's like you're like 6 degrees away from the employee. So also just to be clear, it's like really important. I mean, it could work. It's just you really have to know what you're getting into. You have to understand if there's any risk that in the conversations between different companies that you're getting the correct information. And so for us, yeah, I mean, it's been a key thing, but compliance and alignment has been, yeah, it's a big deal. And you can figure out how focused the EOR company is after you interview them and you speak to them and you see what their processes are like.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so sometimes you have those multiple layers of partnership before the employees, because especially for EOR companies that are regional, it's still not possible. Well, some do that to have own entities in all jurisdictions. So now you're looking at what is the play to win strategy of the local partner. How big are they on compliance, on execution, on service level delivery, turnaround time? How much do they prioritize employees' questions, consent? Because they would replay same culture even when engaging your employees. So thank you very much, Ben, for pointing that out. Okay, so Hannah, I would like to also get your thoughts, right? I mean, do you have any other additional thing to include in what organizations should look out for when evaluating an employer of record partner? Because this is very critical. Do you have any additional things to put?
Actually, they have covered most of it, but we can check also Google ratings, and we can check testimonials, and we can check reviews of other companies, how much they are satisfied. And as I mentioned before, also the experience that you have in doing all of that. Especially also we are looking for the language, because language is the most barrier, you can say, with communicating with others. So yeah, I can only add these three. Where other, yeah, also if you are using technology, so for like communicating, like we have now a Zoom meeting, and when you hire people, so we can also engage with them in our meetings or updates, and we don't have to wait, for example, to send an email, and they will reply, I don't know how many weeks later. So yeah, technology, payrolls, reviews, all of this.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I mean, testimonials and reviews. We've had new clients, new prospective clients that had asked for references, because that's how to validate. And not just treating testimonials and references. Sometimes we've had clients that say, I want you to share the contact of somebody already using your services. And they directly engage those people to get feedback on the quality of service delivery. So another consideration that new businesses who are considering using a third party to hire and onboard teams, employees in new jurisdictions, when considering a partner, you can ask for references. They should share with you details of people that have benefited from their service, because talk is cheap, right? And nobody ever speaks bad of what they sell. So references is a good one. And you also pointed out technology, very key, because that's there to automate a lot of things and make things faster. So how much technology do they use in the payroll? Are the payrolls computed manually? That would result in a lot of errors in the calculation. What payroll systems are they using? How often is it updated with changes in those tax, in the tax computation, just to ensure that you're able to, just to avoid any issue that could arise. All right, so let's discuss about the people, because behind every successful expansion is well-integrated and motivated team. They are the boots on ground in the new countries, and it's very important. So I'll be asking Naira, what onboarding engagements and cultural practices help ensure that employees hired through EOR feel connected to organizations' values and retain long-term? Because, sometimes some organizations are concerned about the employees I have through EOR may feel a disconnect. So what should we do to ensure that there is no disconnection, that there is alignment between both employees managed both ways?
From my experience, the key is to let the employee feel as if he is my own employer. He is not employed under an EOR company, which means that I have to keep the communication all the time with the employee, follow up with him about his requests and everything that is related to the HR process or services that we provide. Give him the attention that he needs when he have any requests. Also, we have to introduce the whole team to him, and introduce the leadership and make the leadership engagement. Check up and make sure that he is unable to reach us anytime. He is able to reach us anytime. He is able to have the needed learning or needed information about the HR process and the services that we provide. Also, we can collaborate in celebrating his achievements or his progress in work, as if he is an internal employee, not an EOR employee. This is the key, because actually the African people are very, very very loyal, and they like to be appreciated. This is how we make the employee feel appreciated, and he feels like home. This is how we encourage him to be more productive. That's it. This is from my practical experience. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, Naira. Yes, so celebrating the wins, managing KPIs both ways so that the employee doesn't feel left out. Thank you very much. Ben, so I know that there are some conversations I've had, even possibly some people in the audience may have that concern around the quality and readiness of talents across Africa. And this is particularly for organizations who haven't explored Africa, would think that it's nothing in Africa, right? So Grow Global has employees from Africa. How would you describe the quality and readiness of talent across Africa's key markets that global businesses can leverage? What are your thoughts?
Amazing. The talents, look, there's talent everywhere. The issue is how to find it. And I think that the talent that we've hired in across Africa, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, the talent is fantastic. So we've had no issues with finding good talent. We get lots of applications for jobs that we post. It's been really, really great. I mean, the caliber of the caliber of the staff that we have across our locations in Africa is on par with the talent of the staff we have everywhere else. I mean, that's been really, really great to see. Our ability to attract and identify and find great talent and everything that the other panelists have said about their experiences with staff in Africa, it's the same. We have the same experience. It's been really positive with the staff we have.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'm not sure whether it was Hannah or Naira that mentioned about the agile teams from Africa. I'm not sure who mentioned that, yeah. And I like what you said, Ben. Talents are everywhere. The question is how to find them. Yeah, there are talents really everywhere. And Africa, it's not an exception to that. Africa has very skilled, motivated, agile workforce that can support global businesses. And just to also provide clarity, right? The employer of record model doesn't just work when you're looking to expand operations into Africa. There are organizations who don't have any interest in Africa, right? They feel their business or solutions are not cut out for the market, but they're still looking out for where can we get skilled employees that can work remotely. Those that are price sensitive may be looking out for where can we get the same value for, say, 50%, 30% lesser, right? So Africa has skilled workforce that may be highly competitive, compensation-wise when compared to talents you get from the Western world. Yeah, so thank you very much, Ben, for that. So Hannah, I would like to get your thoughts. What are some effective strategies for building agile, distributed teams across multiple African countries without compromising culture and compliance? Hello, Hannah. Is Hannah here? Hannah, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah, now I'm unmuted. Okay, so if you don't mind, can you please just repeat the question?
Okay, yeah, so I was asking, what are some effective strategies for building agile, for building talents? Ben mentioned something, talents are available everywhere. The question is how to find, right? So for organizations that are interested in Africa and are looking at and are thinking about how do we even find this talent, what from your experience would you say are effective strategies for building agile, distributed teams across multiple African countries without compromising culture and compliance?
Okay, so to find these talents as one of your services that you are providing is also recruiting. So you have a big pool and having the CVs that are matching different profiles. So whatever any company comes to reach you out to find a certain employee or candidate with this and that profile and these skills are years of experience, a certain age, certain location, and education. So you have from your pool, or you can also advertise to find easier and faster. So I believe that you can do that as if we are going through Nokri Gulf and searching by ourselves. So you are doing that from your own market because you know more who are the people who are applying, and because also you have a good reputation maybe in the market. So people come to drop their CV to your office or desk, so willing from you to find them a suitable job inside the country.
All right, thank you, Hannah. So in summary, you're saying leverage a recruitment firm who has recruitment experts that are able to find talented, skilled, astute workforce in line with your job requirements, who are able to drive businesses forward, right? So it's just to leverage a third party that can help ensure that the team members that you get those team members, and of course that they're agile. This is where KPIs come in, right? Key performance indicators that these employees are measured against come in. And even while the recruitment is going on, it's important to also build in some assessment centers into those recruitment so that you're able to check for key competencies that are required in the talents you're looking for in a particular country. You're able to assess those talents for those key competencies, behavioral and even attitudinal. Thank you very much, Hannah, for that. So I'd like to move this forward, right? I mean, it's been an exciting conversation, a very interesting one. We've discussed how businesses have benefited leveraging the EOR. We discussed about the various benefits that the employer of record business model has provided to businesses and how businesses have leveraged from all of that. We've also discussed how the talent availability, how to navigate all of the complex labor law through leveraging a local partner. So now I would like to we're wrapping up, right? Ben, can you just share what lesson you've learned from expanding into or hiring from any African country that surprised you? I mean, what was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting. There's been a lot to learn. I mean, coming from a background of most of our operations being in Asia, it's been really interesting to navigate. I think the other panelists have talked about the languages and the cultures and the ethnicities and the religions, and there's like so much diversity across the continent. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great learning experience and to understand like local customs and cultures in different places between West Africa, East Africa, totally different. So to really understand, especially when we have been hiring. Yeah, I mean, what have we learned? Everything. It's been very, very new for us. But it's been a great experience. Yeah, I mean, every element of the local current language, we have to adjust. Country, sometimes within a country, we have to adjust to people from different backgrounds. But yeah, I mean, I think the entirety of the expansion into Africa has been a great learning experience for us, and it's been very successful. So, I mean, right now we have staff in Nigeria, we have staff in Ivory Coast. We'll be hiring staff very soon in Kenya. In North Africa. So, I mean, it's something for us that's been full expansion. And yeah, everything has been new. So it's hard to say one thing that stood out.
All right, yeah. Thank you very much, Ben. I mean, the beautiful thing is that the local partner takes the shock and takes the heat. Right, and the local partner also prevents accidents that could have happened. Why? Because they are there to provide that guidance. Okay, Naira, any surprise? What are your thoughts, right? What is it about African expansion that has really surprised you?
I always care about people. I always care about the employees. This is my main focus. So what surprised me about the professional talents that are available and well educated also available in Africa, and also the loyalty of the people there. So my lesson is that the best thing is to build the trust between the company or the person who is dealing with the employee and the employee, and treat him as a local employee, same like our internal employees. This is as important as the legal compliance. The personal connections is very, very important. Once the employee feels secured, feels safe, feels that someone is caring about all his HR stuff, he is going to be very loyal. He is going to be very supportive, very polite, and also he is going to be very productive and uh, everything. That's it. So this is the lesson.
All right, all right. You know, there's some interesting things, right? We've had clients that, that the various unique labor laws in different African countries have been unbelievable, especially those coming from new jurisdiction, right? You want to terminate an employee's engagement in Kenya, and because there's a 1 month notice period, you think you can just terminate that contract, just give you 1 month notice. And then they're like, no, that's the standard after you've sorted out all that is required. So those conversations around what is necessitating the termination of this employee's contract. Is it performance related? What are the various PIPs that has been done? What is the proof? Was it signed? And this is because unfair termination or unjustified termination can be very expensive. We've had clients that, came because of the legal fines they had to pay for non-compliance from where they're coming from. And it's as high as 1 year annual salary. So you can imagine parting away with paying an employee 1 year annual salary for not following the due process during termination. It's a shocker, right? And yeah, so it's always important to work with, in Nigerian parlance, we would say follow who know road. That's follow somebody that knows the road, right? So that you don't hit roadblocks. So in closing, Ben, I would like to get your thoughts, right? If you could give one piece of advice to a CEO, a chief HR officer of a global or local organization thinking about hiring or expanding in and across Africa, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say I think the considerations have to be similar to considerations that you'd have expanding anywhere else. What's going to be your upfront investment? What kind of opportunities do you see? Do you have the time and resources and energy to adjust, your practices to adapt to the local culture and language, understanding that wherever you're coming from, it's going to be different than what you're going to experience in that new place, and being flexible with, hiring and new employees. And then when it comes to compliance, like being sure that if you're going to do it, you do it right. Again, it's why we use the EOR companies like Workforce, to be able to trust that we can navigate everything locally, efficiently and compliantly. So yeah, for us, it's been very successful, and I certainly would hope that other business leadership would think similarly about, if you're going to do it right. And also to what Nayera said, I would really second the point that treating the staff as though they're your internal employees, even though that the employment contract is with a different company, treating them like they're your employees is absolutely critical. So just be ready to do that. Like for us, we have to deal with a lot of time zones. Okay, it sounds so simple, but just dealing with a ton of time zones is a big deal. So being able to connect employees, like Nayera said, to respond to their questions, make them feel like they're at home, all of that is really important. So you have to now be ready to have some late nights. But those are some of the things I'd say.
Thank you very much, Ben. Yeah, so treat employees right, understand the opportunities. If you have to do it right. And that's because it's very expensive when you get it wrong. And ignorance of the law doesn't excuse you from the penalties for violating that. So in Ben's language, if you have to do it right. Thank you very much, Ben, for that. Hannah, I would like to get your thoughts. If you could give one piece of advice to an organization, to a business leader on the call, with thinking about hiring or expanding into Africa, what would it be?
I would tell him, don't think Africa is a small place. Africa is many, many different countries, each with different laws, language, and etiquette and behavior. So you cannot treat them as if it's a piece of cake. Okay, I will go and open my business. Not at all. Go understand the market, see where are you, and see how their norms are and how the customs behaviors are. So better to hire someone who knows every single detail, as you said, followed. So otherwise, it will be not a happy ending for you. So don't experiment with your budget, save it, and uh, invest it wisely.
Thank you very much. So follow
You're
the
welcome.
person, organization that knows the role, right? So that
Yeah.
you're not experimenting. You don't also want to be losing resources to wrong investments. Thank you very much. I mean, this has been a very insightful session. Thank you again, Hannah, Naira, Ben. Amit had to leave earlier. Thank you so much for the insights. Very practical, relatable, that I believe the audience would think through based on their unique peculiarity. So let's look at the questions here and see, okay, I can see. So somebody said, believe me, okay, this came earlier on. Believe me, this time EOR is so confusing for many. Please, if you may explain it a bit, what actually is it comprised of and for whom is it practical? In fact, this was a question I saw, and then I had to provide that clarification I provided earlier on in the conversation just to ensure that Munira is not lost in track. So Munira, I believe you understand what this means, right? I saw this question earlier and I had to provide her. So EOR is similar to outsourcing. It's a model that allows you leverage third party to hire employees in countries where you don't have entities. And in fact, you could also even have own entities and you just want a third party to be legally liable for the outcome of that engagement. So what EOR does is that it helps you save cost. It transfers liability of that employment to the local partner, that's the employer of record. It helps you focus on your core business objectives while the employer of record manages the rest. So, and of course, who is it practical? It's practical for any organization that is looking to test new markets effectively. Any organization that is looking to hire from jurisdictions or territories that they're not very familiar with. The EOR allows them, the employer of record allows them engage an expert who understands the local nuances and will take all of that off, take that weight off their shoulder. From soft landing in a new market. I'm not sure what this question is, but I mean, so EOR gives you that soft landing. That's what I would say. So maybe I'll direct this question to a panel. Okay, somebody is asking on the chat, and how can, this is from Janicio. Sorry, I hope I called the name correctly. Please apologize. I apologize in case I missed that pronunciation. Somebody's asking, how can you apply EOR for a company that wants to contract me without observing EOR? I think this is the language stuff, so I'm not sure of that. How can you apply EOR? What is the most unusual local employment rule you have ever had to navigate? Okay, let me get from Naira. Naira, would you want to share this? Somebody's asking, Precious, what is the most unusual local employment rule you have ever had to navigate? What is it for you? Employment rule. I know this would differ with country.
Can I just say, before
Yes,
Naira answers, can I
please.
just say severance in Ivory Coast
Okay.
is extremely complicated. That was shocking. Because severance obligations in different countries, they change, but as a general, like, we operate in so many countries, we have like a general sense for what's the normal, what's average. Severance obligations in Ivory Coast are very complicated, and so that's something that I would say is maybe the most unusual is that. Sorry, Naira, go ahead.
Um, actually, Maybe the if the employee decided to resign and he agreed with his employer or back end the employer that about the resignation date, there is a notice period. It is a must. Or the employee is going to pay for the company the notice period in lieu. This was very strange rule for me. I have never heard about an employee pays for the company. What usually happens is that the company pays to the employee, but if the employee paying to the company, it was very weird for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. That I mean, they are different. I mean, unusual is really relative, right? But I mean, severance and Ivory Coast, I know it's a factor of the length that the employee has worked, and then there's a percentage, right? And this is why it's very important, right, to leverage the local partner so that you don't just think you're giving 1 month in lieu of notice or giving, yes. So different countries have different severances for, it's based on how long they've worked, the type of contract. There's some organizations, there's some countries where if an employee is engaged on a fixed term contract and they want to terminate halfway, you're required to pay the rest of the period, whether or not you like it, and regardless of the reason for that termination, right? We had some clients from the INGOs that were badly affected by the stop work order from the USAID, right? And even with that, in some of the countries where it was midway into the contract duration, they had to pay the full contract. Yes, they had to pay. So that's why important. I mean, you can have short-term, fixed-term contracts, 6 months renewable, 3 months renewable. In some countries, you can't renew more than a particular period of time. Ivory Coast again there, right? For fixed term, right? So I know you had mentioned the struggle with Ivory Coast, yeah. So there's this question from Bahati. She's asking, how do hiring companies offer growth paths and frameworks that are cultural sensitive and compliant to local employment laws? Okay, yeah, so I would answer this question, right? Because I work with a hiring company, right? So number one is even to be sure that you're working with a hiring company that is local with regards to the country of interest to you. So speaking to growth paths, right? This is also relative because different countries have different rules on what on how to treat employment for long-term duration. The major question I would ask is, for what reason it's the end client engaging this person? Is it for a short-term reason? Is it for a short-term project? Or is it for a long-term, right? And so that's the purpose of engagement will now enable us advice on the different types of employment contract that this employee can be engaged on. And then, of course, different growth path based on the peculiarity of that organization in line with the local compliant law. So, Bahati, you can contact us after this and then we can tailor this down to the country of interest to you, because there is really no one size fits all. It was Hannah that mentioned, Africa, it's not a small country. Africa is a continent with 54 countries, right? So to provide you a clearer response, I would like to know what country you're speaking to, and then that's so that you can have the specific response that you need. Okay, Jackson here is asking, we sometimes experience situations that are not normal in an organization. Things just happen and they require decisions to be made. So I know in your previous roles, you might have this kind of, what's the question here? Could you tell us if you have passed across any of this kind of situation? So I know your previous roles, probably you might have this kind of situation where the situation is not in organization policy or labor law, or you have gone off labor law and it requires decision to be made to resolve issues, to find the ways outside. Okay, so look at what Jackson is asking. That from my understanding of this question, there are times where you have to go outside the box to resolve an issue. And in some cases, you may need to go outside the labor law, right? So he's asking, could you tell us if you have passed across any of this kind of situation and how you went to resolve the issue? Okay, does anybody want to answer? Are there times where you've had an employee that you had gone off the local labor law to resolve an issue? I know what.
No,
Okay, no, all
no,
right.
way too
All
risky to
right.
do that. No,
All
no,
right.
sticking with local labor law and sticking
Yeah.
with people who understand local labor law and are able to tell you what to do, how to navigate effectively. No, that's super important. Don't go outside the labor law.
All right. Thank you very much, Ben. Yeah, so but there are times where organizations are able to provide benefits above the local labor law. So I give an example. The local labor law states that the minimum pay time off, it's say 15 working days for every year worked. Some generous organization can say, okay, we can give our employees 30 days paid time off, right? So as long as it's not below the minimum statutory requirements in that country, I mean, it's acceptable. We've had clients that have given employees unlimited pay time off. We've had clients, like in Nigeria, for example, the local labor law requires that you provide health insurance coverage for just one employee. But then some organizations are willing to extend that to 3-4 dependents, right? So as long as it's not below the local labor law, right, you're able to, and if your budget can cover that, you're able to have those additional fringe benefits that the employees can also leverage. Yeah. But in terms of going outside the local labor law, everything that you have to do to ensure that you don't have a legal suit have to be within the local labor law. There are some countries where the employees have the right to sue you 3, 4, 5 years even after termination if they discover that they were cheated, right? So who asked this question again? So Jackson, is best to stick with the local labor law. Don't go outside the local labor law. It may bite hard in the future. All right. So I think that's it for all the questions. So once again, I'd like to say a big thank you, Hannah, Amit, Ben, Naira. Thank you so much for right. Thank you so much. I mean, the insights were rich, honest, and very practical. And I believe the audience got great value. Okay. So one thing I would like to also, in closing, say it, Africa is not just a future market. No, Africa is a now market. So organizations looking to thrive on the continent need to act fast, remain compliant. You can never emphasize the importance of compliance. And you have to be a talent-first organization, because without people, you're not able to drive your solutions in the country, right? And also important to also mention again that the employer of record model makes expansion and hiring across Africa without local entities. It makes it not only possible, but very scalable. And at Workforce Africa, we believe in building the future of work for Africa by helping organizations attract, employ, and manage top talent across borders with speed, accuracy, and integrity. So if you simply want to expand your operations, if you even want to simplify the expansion process, if you're looking at piloting new markets in new jurisdictions, if you're looking at hiring employees, leveraging the skill talent Africa provides, please reach out to Workforce Africa. We'll be honored to partner with you on the journey. So thank you again for joining us today. And I would say keep leading and keep expanding. And we will see you at the next session. Okay, so we've had great clients we've supported across Africa. Please feel free to reach out to us. We're offering free consultations for anybody who has any interest in any African countries. We reach out to us via the website, social media to connect with us. Thank you again for your time. So the webinar recording is going to be available for everyone. So just be on the lookout for be on the lookout. You'll receive the recording, especially for those that joined late or had to leave in between. Thank you, everyone. It was indeed a fruitful session. Yes, it was indeed. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
H2.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Divine.
Yes, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.